Good morning, guys. It is Monday, April 27th. Um, for this screencast, I'm just going to show you what to do for today's class. So, step one is obviously the warm up. Step two, you're going to watch this video. So, before you even know that this video exists, you're going to have to do the warm up and then follow through and just watch this video. It's about the Reformation, and I'll explain what that is in just a moment. Another figure, a person of the Reformation. You're going to have to watch this too. And this is a virtual tour, pretty cool. It's actually a huge, basically mural in a church. And I want you to take a virtual tour. It's one of the most famous paintings of mankind that probably has ever existed. And step four, what are some things you saw while virtually touring the Sistine Chapel? Okay? All right, to the textbook. Now, I'll recap. So last week we were talking about the Middle Ages and Christianity, or Middle Ages and the Dark Ages, right? It's the same thing. Again, the Dark Ages was a period of time throughout the world and Europe where basically people stopped trading, learning, being artistic, traveling, and they kind of stayed within their own confines. They stayed within their own feudal systems or feudal manners. Okay? Go back to Schoology. That's what you have to do for the warm up. You have to answer the three questions. I changed them a little bit, but they're the same three questions that are on this photograph here on the right hand side. Okay. So 2.6, Renaissance and Reformation. Okay. Main idea, both the Renaissance and the Reformation brought great change to Europe, helped put an end to the feudal system. The Roman Catholic Church also began to lose some of its power at this time. As these key structures of the Middle Ages weakened, the Renaissance began to take hold. The Renaissance was the rebirth of art and learning that started in Italy in the 1300s and spread throughout Europe by 1500. The Renaissance. Several other factors led the Renaissance. Increased trade in the growing towns brought some Italian merchants great wealth. This wealth allowed them to buy artists' work. As you have learned, the western part of the Roman Empire fell in 476. The eastern part continued and became known as the Byzantine Empire. The fall of this empire in 1453 also advanced the Renaissance. Scholars from the empire came to Italy, bringing with them ancient writings of the Greeks and the Romans. Studies of these works encourage humanism, which focuses on human rather than religious values. In addition, a German inventor named Johannes Gutenberg developed a printing press in 1450 that printed many books in a short amount of time. Soon, more people in Europe had access to knowledge, including the new humanist ideas. The result was an explosion of ideas in art, architecture, and literature. Artists such as Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael used perspective to make a painting look as if it had three dimensions. Architects used elements of the ancient Greeks and Roman designs to create churches and buildings. Writers wrote in the everyday spoken language of their region. For example, Dante Alighieri wrote the Divine Comedy in Italian, not Latin. The Reformation. Meanwhile, some people began looking more critically at the church. Martin Luther, a monk in Germany, was shocked by the corruption of some priests that sold indulgences which relaxed the penalty for sin. Let me take a quick pause here. Okay. So the Renaissance is about learning, is about art, and is about reading, it's about writing. The Reformation is reform, the word reform is in there, reforming things about the Catholic Church. The Renaissance is replacing and reforming things about learning. Reformation is strictly about religion, Catholicism, Christianity only. Okay? This is kind of goofy. Indulgences. When someone usually uses the word indulge, oh, I sat on my couch all day and I indulged in 4 bags of chips. That means you had an excess amount of chips. You had so many chips, and you just sat there and kept abusing them and eating and eating and eating. You had so many chips, too many, right? So indulgences with the Catholic Church back in the day, people were saying you could buy, if you had some change and you gave your money, you gave your change to the Catholic Church, whatever you did wrong would go away. So let's just say I was outside and my neighbor's dog constantly barks at me. I'm just making this up. It's a nice dog. My neighbor's dog constantly barking at me. And I'm outside, I'm walking, the dog just arr, arr, arr. And I'm like, enough. I kick the dog right in the head and it whimpers and it runs away. That technically, if I'm going back to this 1500s time, that would be a sin. I'm hurting my neighbor's property, and that would be that's obviously considered a sin. Now I could just, to wash away that sin, I could just give the church money. Doesn't sound too right. This is what Martin Luther said. He said, giving money and saying, that's washing away my sins, that's not true. That's not the right thing to do. That's basically corruption. You're just stealing money. You're not washing away anyone's sins. You're just taking their money and claiming to be. So that's really what he wrote. And in 1517, Martin Luther wrote the 95 Theses. Okay, so theses is like a paper. He wrote 95, just think of it like this, 95 problems that he saw with the Catholic Church. And he nailed them like to the front door of a church. And then people got really, really mad at him. And for good reason, because it kind of broke up religion, which is a good thing, because he kind of changed the world as we know it. And I'll show you how. Luther's actions started the Reformation, the movement to reform. So again, the root word reform is in Reformation. The movement to reform Christianity. Over time, people founded Protestant churches. That means the word Protestant looks like protest, and that means to protest the wrong things that the church was doing. In response, the church began reform movement called the Counter-Reformation and placed more emphasis on faith and religious behavior. Nonetheless, the conflict between the Catholics and the Protestants would continue for the next 300 years, even to have a war. People started killing each other brutally. If you're a Catholic, you're a Protestant. It's just like different groups, different religions. Think about, there's one secular group of a religion, and there's two groups that are kind of the same religion, but then they start fighting with each other. Same thing with Christianity. Okay. And I also want to show you guys this. I think it's a little bit cool, kind of help you to understand. It's a little bit blurry, I apologize, but this was the best one I could get. So look all the way down here, 200 BC. It's a long time ago. Again, we talked about a timeline last week. So 2000 BC, and here goes 0, right? Because then we're talking about BC and AD, right? BCE, CE, same diff. So if we're talking about 2000 BC, that's a long time ago. Look at this is a timeline of religions, when they kind of started. Look at some of the oldest ones. Vedic barbarianism. I've never even heard of that, to be honest with you. Ancient Egyptian religion. Some of these we don't know much about because it was so long ago. Okay. Judaism. That is the longest lasting monotheistic one God religion, started by Abraham over almost 4,000 years ago, before Christianity was even around. So you can kind of see 0. And these are where the main religions really start to pop up or be more prominent. Judaism, obviously, starting all the way back here. Then here comes Christianity. Okay. Oh, here comes Islam. Okay. Here comes Hinduism. Here comes Buddhism back here. Confucianism, Taoism, Shintoism. But then you see, this is what we're talking about, the Reformation. Oh, yeah, Holy Christianity, Holy Catholic Church, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, one more, Orthodox. We'll add that. Whoop. Martin Luther. Here's where, this is all he started. Look, Church of England, Quakers, Methodists, Pentecost, Lutheran, Presbyterian, Anabaptist, Baptist. Because of what he said, he started all these other, he didn't start them. Other people are like kind of brought off his, they started off his idea, and they started their own churches, right? So that's why Christians and there's so much more types of Christian religions out there due to Martin Luther's thought, the first thought. Why can't we change what the Catholic Church is doing? Why can't we have our own church? Okay, so that's where that split happened. You can see it really only Catholic, Holy Catholic Church, Orthodox Church, and then boom, a huge split, breaking up into all different types. Okay. All right, my friends. So after this, you listen to me read and kind of give you that long-winded explanation of the timeline. Please go back to the classroom and complete all of the discussion posts and no worksheet for today. Have a great day. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please send me a message.